Good morning. It's me again. I decided I'm going to try to create as many videos as I possibly can in the gang stalking and targeted individual on the channel that I've created to bring awareness and perhaps information to people who are currently going through the same experience that I've been through. I wanted to talk a little bit about the precursor to this experience, to the intensity that I'm at right now, how things started for me. But my observation is now is that a lot of the things that happen in the beginning are very meant as a precursor for the things that happen later, and that's very deliberate and very strategic. So there is what I think of as maybe a priming phase where the psychological hooks are being driven in. The main focus in my experience is on the idea of invasion, so not having any escape. For most people, it's a gradual process where you realize that you're being stalked, that you're being followed, that you're being observed, and that's intentional as well. But there are other things that happen for some people. I think it depends on the kind of program that you've been signed up for. Myself, spiritually, as a spiritually gifted person, I do believe that that was the reason that I was picked out, at least in the very beginning. So one of the main themes for me, at least, has been invasion, but I do notice with the things that I've read and the things that I've seen from other people's experiences that that's a main piece of it as well. So it kind of starts off, I think, with you having the sense that you maybe have more negative experiences than is typical. You meet a lot of people who are narcissistic, as I said in my first video. That's a big part of it. The sense of being bullied, at least as far as I'm concerned, that has been a major theme in my life. So not just from this experience, but I do have a previous experience of being bullied by a group as a child, childhood bullying. But also a long history of trauma, which in my experience is also a precursor for the entire experience. So in the initial phases, even before I became cognizant of the fact that there may be something going on behind the scenes as far as people were concerned, I did start to experience really strange physical experiences. I developed probably too much information, but a mite, which now I've heard a lot about Morgellons since then. So I'm not sure if this is exactly what that was at the time, but that's definitely like a precursor to that type of experience that just came out of nowhere. So I had that sort of experience. I also developed parasites of the body, parasites of the skin. Again, a big part of that, like upon reflection, I do think that a lot of that is also another layer of feeling invaded, feeling unsafe in your own body, and also feeling ostracized from your own body. So I think that that's a big part of it, and that's the big reason that they do it. And they definitely, I do feel like, knowing now what I do know about the technologies and the various things that they do, I do believe that that was one phase of the program that was a precursor for me to what's going on now, which I will touch into in another video, exactly what I'm experiencing. But a big part of it is, the feeling of invasion. The parasites are invading your body. You can't escape your own body. So, a big part of it has to do with that, and feeling unsafe in your own body and alienated from yourself. So that was the beginning of my experience with this. Looking back, I do actually think that that was the beginning only of my awareness to this experience. So I think that there were other things that were happening, especially, comparing stories with some other people and realizing the kinds of things that people have had go on historically. There's always, pardon me, I have a cold. There's a history of trauma, typically from the family, but then there are also, as I said, unusual relationships that most people have, a feeling of being bullied, maybe being ostracized at work or just in different social environments. So I think that there are incidents also that are leading up to that. Part of that I do, as I said, I feel that that's to enhance the psychological aspect of, of the intent of the program, which is for you to feel to have no boundaries, essentially. They want you to be to have no boundaries physically, mentally, spiritually. It's a specific attack to your autonomy and your separation from them. Like, that is very clear to me, like from anything that they've done, that the majority of it is they want to be not just have you, and not just have you where they want you, but be you and be in you. Even though, you know, you would think that a lot of this comes from this sense of being othered or hated in some way. I mean, yes, that's part of it. That definitely, like, it's an evil experience, and there is a lot of malevolence to each of the steps and to each of the things that are done to you. But on another level, there is also, in my opinion, something about you that is interesting or special or resilient, strong, and they know that, and they don't like it. So I don't know why you feel that you were targeted. For me personally, as I said, I like during this phase, this was when I began to notice things. I do think that perhaps before, even from birth, potentially, I may have had this as part of my experience, but I know that during the time that this did take place, I made the unfortunate mistake of making a few political comments online, and to me, which was a very casual capacity. I wasn't picketing, or I wasn't taking a stance politically in any other arena other than, I think it was on Yahoo comments. I made some sort of comment about my country, Canada, leader at the time. And, you know, I think in the earlier phases of the internet, you don't really realize the implications of making those kind of comments. And also, you know, I think we're all approaching this world from a place of naivety until you have an experience like this, where you don't really realize the things that are happening behind the scenes, who's actually in charge, the kinds of things that can be determined about you from a very casual, you know, as I said, a very casual comment, a very casual conversation can lead to such devastating consequences that we're walking around completely oblivious to what can potentially go wrong for us because of some of the things that we've said or done, or, you know, like, as I said, just completely off the cuff, not considering who may be deeply offended by something that we perceive as being so casual. So I've considered that that's the possibility, at least as far as I'm concerned. But again, upon reflection, like looking at some of the things that have happened to me since then, I do think that the intent was all along to enroll me in this program for my spiritual nature, my spiritual energy, and to use me in that fashion. So I think that's a big part of it as well. The things that, you know, I've heard that the term Xerxes song, I think is what it's called. Like, I could be mistaken, but it's where the topic of where the concept of gang stalking and targeted individuals originated was actually in Germany, and this is the term that they use to describe what they do to people with this, which is essentially a complete decimation of your character and who you are as a person. So the thing that they will find most offensive is the thing that will be targeted, or perhaps the thing that you identify the most with. In my case, as I said, I am a spiritual person. It's a big part of my personality. It's a big part of my interests and my goals in life. Have always had something to do with that. So I do think spiritual people in general are targeted. But, you know, we could, in another video, I will discuss my reasoning for that. Like, I do think that it is a form of spiritual warfare, and the intent is to keep people small and to keep people from advancing spiritually on their journey. And of course, there are a lot of different groups and organizations that have a vested interest in your spirituality or your religion. So I think that all of pardon me, all of those things do come into play. So anyway, I just wanted to share the very beginning of my journey. As I said, it was more physical for me. The personal interactions did come a bit later. I can touch on that a little bit actually, but around that time, I also started having issues with my neighbors, which did become progressively worse. Pardon me for a moment.